you guys see that? It's finally here. Alright! So first of all, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Red Sea and ReefSupplies.ca for both kind of helping out and helping make this nano tank build possible. I definitely appreciate you guys both, and I'm super excited for this tank. Now just to kind of go over the build, this was packed very well. The tank itself is very beautiful. They use low iron glass, it's fairly thick, and it's a complete kit. It comes absolutely everything you need. The build was pretty quick and easy. All the parts of the cabinet kind of just click together fairly well. You put your screws in and your little twist lock nuts. Once everything was built, it felt very, very sturdy. The tank itself, absolutely gorgeous, and I love how the glass on the tank lines up with the stands. It's a very, very sleek, nice look. Definitely more of a premium product. So in the back of the tank, we have our return pump, we have our skimmer, and we even have an auto top off. So the water overflows into a mixture of a filter sock and the skimmer, and it goes back down through the sock, goes over, and through the return pump. So it's basically all-in-one filtration. Now, as to kind of jumpstart the tank, I use live sand from my reef tank. Now the tank's been up for over a year and a half, so this sand is full of great bacteria and tons of good stuff to help jumpstart the process in the reef. So I used a tube to suck out all the sand and filled it into a bucket. After that, I took the bucket and kind of swished it around and stirred it up in any of the bits of gunk on top. I brought it to the surface and I just kind of dumped it down the drain. What that did is left me with all the good sand, in which I poured into the tank itself. So we started with live sand full of great bacteria to really jumpstart the cycle. Now you can start with dry sand or other live sand products, but if you do that, you'll definitely want to make sure that you use a bacteria product to cycle your tank first. So once we get the sand in, we start adding a bit more water, and then we're going to get some of the rock from the tank. We're going to add the rock in. Now for rock, I use the Carib Sea Life Rock shape. Now this is pretty awesome rock. It was very easy to aquascape with. I did aquascape in another video, so if you guys want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below or at the end of this video. So when you do an aquascape, for me, at least one of the big things is you want it to look natural, but you also want a cool shape, right? You just don't want a big pile of rocks. So I personally love arches and those different kinds of shapes. So I try and build different types of kind of weird random structures, but the key for me is to try and make it look like they flow together. So if you have a hard time telling where one rock ends and the next rock starts, it really gives it a kind of a nice flow. It makes your aquascape look more fluid and gives it more of a natural look. That's one of the things I always try and strive for, is play with it, where you can find a spot where the rocks just lock together nicely and give you that fluidity throughout your rock structures. And that may take a little bit of rearranging, a little bit of shifting, but just keep moving, and every time you rotate the rock, there's a whole new aquascape wave, right? So definitely play with a lot until you find, what works just right and just perfect for your tank and your setup. Another thing too, with these, I will try and get it's always good to have little filler pieces you can use to like extend things, or if you have a weird little ledge coming out, you can make it transition down your sand bed and get all kinds of different looks. Or filling in little cracks between rocks to give you that more of a fluid look. Alright, so this escape is pretty good, so we're going to add in a bit more water. Now the rock was live, it's been in my main display for over a month now, so it's full of the live good bacteria, so you don't want to let it dry out. So we're going to fill up the rest of the tank. And just a few little more tweaks to kind of finish off the aquascape and, tune it in just right. Now before you add any livestock to the tank, you're going to want to make sure your tank is fully cycled. And if you don't know what the nitrogen cycle is, make sure you Google that, or I'll put some links in the description below to kind of help get you guys started. So if you're starting with live sand and live rock from an established tank, it really does jumpstart your cycle. Now if you're starting with dry rock or dry sand, you're going to want to use something like the starter kit from Red Sea, the Reef Mature Kit, to jumpstart that cycle and create that safe environment for your fish. Now I'm using live sand and live rock for my established tank, so it's going to be instantly full of great bacteria. However, I'm still going to add a couple capfuls of Bactostart and Nitrobac just to ensure that everything's in check and good to go for the tank's new inhabitants. So when adding your first few fish, you want to start to make sure you acclimate them properly. So when I'm acclimating fish, I add a bit of tank water to my acclimation container, and then I add the fish along with the bag water into that container. Now every 5 or 10 minutes or so, I'll add another about 5-10% of the tank water to the drip bucket. And what this does, it will start to mix the water together and slowly acclimate the fish to your tank water's parameters. Now if you add too much from your tank, it's gonna raise the water level too high, so you gotta make sure you're taking some out as well. So add a cup in, take a cup out. And do this every 5 or 10 minutes until you've replaced, if ideally 100% of the water in your drip container, and at that point, your fish should be acclimated and be ready to put into the tank. Now usually when I'm doing this, I avoid using a net. A lot of fish can get caught in the net and you can get their gills caught. So I always try and use like a little glass container or a beaker or something, so it's a very gentle way to transfer them to the tank. So hope you guys enjoyed this setup and unboxing of the Red Sea Nano tank, and hopefully you learned how to set up your own nano reef. I'm going to be doing updates on this tank every few weeks, so make sure you guys subscribe and hit that bell to stay tuned and learn more about the progression of the Red Sea Nano. And for all my fellow Canadian viewers, be sure to check out my favorite online reefing store at reefsupplies.ca. I'll see you guys in the next update.